All right. Welcome, friends and fam. This is me doing the fact check on Joe Rogan podcast with Alex Jones. This is kind of a pet peeve project for me, actually, because there's so many of Rogan's podcasts that are amazing. Obviously, the guy knows what he's doing. And by the way, this intro is going to be about 4 or 5 minutes, so you can skip ahead if you don't want to hear any of this shit prior. Also, language warning. But he obviously knows what he's doing, has a great skill on what he's been able to accomplish. But some of the details, some of the truth, some of the things that even gets pulled up on the big screen by Jamie aren't exactly the whole truth or the entire story. And so I've noticed since Rogan's moved to Texas in particular, but also just before that, that there have been some massive inaccuracies, some massive details that have been overlooked, some massive truths that they pull up, and it's just basically the title of the article. They read that, it matches, but it doesn't pick up the entire sentiment or story or all the details. And so, you know, he asked in this podcast in particular that I'm referencing that he wishes that he had somebody there to fact check Jones as he does his stuff. Side warning, I do have my girlfriend with me who's painting in the background, and we do have our 2 pugs with us, which is what that thunder noise is in the background. You will hear them probably snore and make various noises. So I apologize for that now, but it just comes with this little endeavor that I'm taking on. I also do have coffee. I do have an old fashioned. I do recommend you do the same thing. Again, this has been a pet peeve project. In the last podcast with Jones and Rogan that went 5 hours, I mean, there were multiple times where, you know, Jones says something that is technically true on a title search on Google, but isn't true as far as the entire article was stating. For example, Joe and Alex talk about 100,000 Mayans being sacrificed a day. Literally, if you read the next paragraph on that Wikipedia search that they did pull up, it says that that was one historian's viewpoint and no one else agrees with him. That is important when you're looking at the entire context and title and meat and subject of the article and of this, you know, important history lesson that they're telling. Another one would be that, white settlers or colonialists never used germ warfare against Indians. Completely true. Completely happened. There are journal documents that say such things, and so with this podcast in particular, this episode, I thought that this would be a good kind of starting point for me with this kind of pet peeve project to try and create some truth behind what has been said. I'm going to be jostling between my own notes that I've written out completely and links, and also, you know, the actual audio that I'm recording and also the video audio that I'm recording. There's a lot going on in the background over here. So bear with me as I try to get through this. I am an amateur. This is my first time doing this. Who am I? I'm still trying to figure that out. But my name's Chris. I have a master's degree out of CSUN for a hybrid master's degree of creative writing and poetry. I have a minor in religious studies. I have a minor in philosophy. And I've been running a gym in Southern California for the past 13 years or so. And as all of that, as my umbrella, I've had to do a lot of research, a lot of looking up, a lot of contesting of information. So I feel like it's kind of fitting that, you know, in the conspiracy theory world, I think there's 2 degrees you can actually get from certain universities around that subject, around history and conspiracy theories. But as far as being able to look shit up online, you don't need a lot of background or professional information, professional certifications as far as that goes. So that's what I've done. I am great at searching. I'm great at finding out what the meat of the story is, what the meat of the article is, what they're trying to get to. We're going to get to some of that in this podcast, an episode. So bear with me as I try to do that with you. And also, as a side note, we're 5 minutes in already. As a side note, some of the subject matter that gets brought up, I understand fully, can be very sensitive for certain people, especially if we're going to talk about historical episodes of child sex trafficking, religion, elitism, and their fraternal orders and their habits, and there's a lot of this that I just want to let you know I don't have a dog in any of this fight. I'm only presenting the information to you as I've learned it, as I've heard it, and fact-checked it. Jones says something, Rogan goes, hold on, wait a second, let's look this up. I did that. As far as me being like, this is the end-all, be-all, I'm not that voice. You can do your own research, you can come to your own conclusions. I'm only here to draw a certain aspect of realization and interject my own opinion. There's conjecture, there's hearsay, there's all this kinds of stuff. There's history. It's all going to meld into one kind of cohesive subject. I didn't realize taking this on first that there would be such a broad range covered within the first hour and a half. I'm only taking the podcast at a chunk at a time. It's a 2-part series for me. If you guys want to hear the second part, if you guys want to hear anything else that dive into this further, hey, it'd be cool if you look this up, give us your input, give us your insight. What did you find? I will absolutely do this for you. I also have links to everything. I also have notes to everything. I will present it to you. All you got to do is contact me. It's an open book as far as that goes. Love to have an open conversation. Not the end all be all. I'm not the final period to this statement and sentiment. So I just want you guys to know that I am trying to come to this with as much information, and is kind of like, if we go down these rabbit holes, and there are multiple rabbit and worm holes, and they crisscross each other, and they overloop, and they cancel each other out at certain points. So I just want to let you guys know that. And again, with this certain sensitive subject matter, I just want to let you know right now, because we are in a pivotal, very high climate, volatile point in politics and society and our neighbors and in quarantine and all that kind of shit. Again, I'm only looking at this from a certain angle. I'm only trying to create a factual output to statements that were made by Jones himself. Hats off to Rogan for probably one of the first and most times that he was as on Jones to find out what are your sources, who said that, what's the quote, what do you mean, and all that kind of stuff. This is a podcast where Joe really had control over what was so rapidly being put out by Jones. In a lot of stuff, Jones is right. I'm going to say that right now. 8 minutes and 30 minutes into this, 8 minutes, 30 seconds into this, Jones is correct on quite a few things. I don't cover those. If it's right, it's right. And I if you don't see me bring it up, it's because it's not worth bringing up. But he's right on also a lot of other subjects, but he's just a little bit wrong as far as some of the details and history and how this stuff intertwines. I learned a lot doing this. This probably took me about 8 hours, if I was going to be honest, on searching and listening to it and pausing and going back. And because Jones is basically making statements and claims almost every 2 minutes on the minute. So, you take 30 minutes, you're probably making over 60 claims in that. There's a lot to unpack. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to transfer some of my screens.